Encoded within the rich heritage to our people lie the eternal principles and teachings passed down through generations to this very day. A code of conduct, a solemn mission. And so the passage of time allows us to appreciate the unique contribution of a visionary leader whose presence and influence had a profound impact on the lives and welfare of so many.
After 10 years of the passing of the late Chief Rabbi Cyril Harris of blessed memory, it is the perfect opportunity to step back and to reflect on his legacy. I have found his fingerprints throughout the country and throughout the community. And perhaps the picture which captures so much of his presence and his standing and what he did for our community was that day that nobody will forget, the dawn of the new South Africa. And he stood there, Chief Rabbi Harris, in splendor with his gold yarmulke and his beautiful tallis and his lilting Scottish accent, and he captured the hearts and the minds of South Africans and indeed of people all around the world.
And the work of righteousness shall be peace.
And it is emblematic of his lifelong philosophy that to be a good Jew means also to have care and compassion and concern for not only the Jewish community but for every member of the human race. And he saw the rebuilding of the new South Africa as a moral imperative and a mitzvah imperative. And that is such an important message for us to reflect on today, 10 years after his passing.
The Chief Rabbi C.K. Harris Memorial Foundation was established in 2007 to honor and continue the rabbi's lifetime of service. The foundation has carried out this mission by creating strategic partnerships with a range of communal and professional organizations, providing funds specifically to promote skills training and education. The focus is on 4 categories: Jewish community organizations, medical care for vulnerable children, development in disadvantaged communities, and practical rabbinic training.
My late husband wanted to be very much involved in the work of the Jewish organizations that dealt with, for example, education and welfare. And he loved being part of improving the services that the organizations offered.
Every day I see with my own eyes people who are frail, people who are vulnerable, and it's our duty to try and make their lives easier. We have 600 full-time staff who are Chev employees, and on top of that 400 outsourced staff. And that 1,000 people who do an amazing job. And I think job is probably the wrong word, because for most of those people who are working here, it's a calling. One of the biggest challenges I had when I joined was the budget. Things are tough, and whenever there's budget cuts, one of the very first things that gets cut is the training budget.
If we really want to provide good service to our client base, which is the Jewish community, and have excellent standards of care, we owe our caregivers incredible standards of care as well. And being able to train them and offer them continuing development is absolutely essential. It's just a basic.
The conference really gave us what we searched for. People had walked away with something that they could hold on to.
This philosophy of in-service training has an incredible impact on the person who receives that training. It's a real investment in improving their skills and their ability to pass on those skills to others.
You spend maybe a couple of hours, couple of days on a first aid training course, but in essence, the value of it is there for a lifetime.
It worked across all levels of workers. It wasn't just the professionals. It was the housekeepers, the nurses, the drivers. So from a team building exercise, it was absolutely amazing. There was a unity of purpose.
We found that a lot of people in senior positions were excellent in their technical skill, but lacked a management education. So with the help of the foundation, we put together a group of our senior managers, and they all went on a leadership and management training program. The people who came out of the course, they were different people, both individually, themselves and their skills they'd learned, but I think even more importantly, as a team.
Chief Rabbi Harris believed passionately in the importance of Holocaust education and the lessons it offered to the whole of humanity.
In 2007, the National Department of Education introduced the study of the Holocaust as a compulsory section in the curriculum. Now that's all very well, but if you do not have teachers who know how to teach this very difficult subject, then that creates a challenge. And so the need to train teachers, our teachers, in order to train other teachers becomes our imperative.
The Foundation is honored to be supporting these ongoing teacher training programs. An important part of this training process is to send key educators to Holocaust education courses and seminars.
I received the opportunity, with the support of the Rabbi Harris Foundation, to attend a teacher training course at Yad Vashem in Jerusalem. This gave me the chance to engage with like-minded educators from around the world, all working towards fostering a culture of human rights.
Since 2007, we've trained over 4,000 teachers across the country. And so our trainers, our small team, which moves around the country in such an incredible way, right into the deepest rural areas, the Transkei, Northwest Province and Mpumalanga, all over the country, taking them on a journey which says to them, okay, this is the subject that you have to teach. This is the way in which you teach it. And they leave feeling such a sense of empowerment. And they start to think that in fact it is possible for them to become agents of change.
Another aim of the Foundation is the advancement of adult Jewish education, which we see achieved in the forward-thinking and diverse learning programs of Academy.
Knowledge and growth cannot be given to you by someone else. You have to get it for yourself. You actually have to strive and toil. We work with every shul Jewish organization in the country. They contact us, they choose one of the courses from our list, and then we help them provide a level of adult education which is very difficult to attain. The Chief Rabbi's Foundation has aided us in bringing training and upskilling in a way that's just not available in almost any place in the world except for in Israel. And that type of plugging in, the syncing of South African minds with the greatest in the world, is something that's enabled us to uplift the level of education of our faculty, who have in turn passed that on to all of our students.
He was a very experienced hospital visitor, and he thought that what affected patients more than anything was fear and anxiety, and he particularly thought that was so with children.
To alleviate the suffering of young patients, the Foundation assists the Oncology Department of the Red Cross Children's Hospital in a unique program.
This is about changing the way we treat childhood cancer by increasing the capacity of smaller centers to manage children with cancer. Apart from the procedures which the children have to go through, which are obviously unpleasant, the kids suffer from less tangible problems like feelings of anxiety, fear of the unknown, and sometimes a feeling of isolation, and that affects their families as well. We have a philosophy here to try and have them treated as close as possible to home for as much of their treatment.
And so, medical personnel from provincial hospitals are trained in Cape Town, creating a broad network of shared care facilities.
The training for doctors and nurses is largely experiential. They work in the clinic with us, they learn procedures in the treatment room, they come on the ward rounds and form part of the discussion, and they're followed up with continuing education. One of the rewarding aspects of working with shared carers is that they come already with a very good background in pediatrics, and now you're giving them additional skills in oncology. So while we're helping the children, by training the shared carers, we're also developing individuals. So this little guy who comes from George has got a form of leukemia. He would have to come to Cape Town every month, but he's only needing to come every 3 months now because of the services that are offered in George.
Wherever in the world Jews have landed, their strength has been to establish solid family life, and on that basis, they've then established a good communal life. That was the skill he believed that the Jewish community could pass on to disadvantaged communities in South Africa.
One of the development organizations whose training of staff the foundation supports is Africa Tikkun. Co-founded by Rabbi Harris and currently working in 6 regional communities, it provides a range of social and welfare facilities for children from cradle to career.
Over 85% of who we work with come from the communities, and they come with very little skill. We say we hire for attitude and we train for skill. Our model is to be able to stay in those communities, build infrastructure and assets in the community, find people who want to be part of change, provide them with skills that they then enable them to invest in their own children. I think that's phenomenal. I've not met a lot of organizations like that. The wonderful thing that we share with the Chief Rabbi Harris Foundation is that they have enabled us to be able to train a lot of these young people as home-based caregivers who go into communities, or alternatively train them as preschool teachers or youth facilitators or even cooks in the kitchens, but enabling that community to become sustainable in the long term as well.
The training that has been provided to these child and youth care workers and social auxiliary workers lives by the philosophy of the late Rabbi, because we are not only training individuals, but we have trained a team of these unique professionals to be able to service thousands of children in this area of Mfuleni. They are able then to build that bridge between the organizations and the community.
One of the greatest legacies that the foundation has also enabled Africa Tikkun to achieve is the building of a culture. Not only has it changed the way we think as an organization in terms of leaders, it has changed the way we operate and hold people accountable and implement the programs in a much more effective and sustainable way. And the ripple effect is that you're no longer touching one child or one family, you are raising a village, you're raising a community to be able to do what they need to do. And for that, we are grateful.
Amongst the diverse projects and initiatives of Etafeni Daycare Center is the Women's Wellness and Skills Development Program.
A household in Yanga caters for between 5 and 7 people. And if the woman in that household is empowered and is able to earn an income, she's able to create a family that is more functional, and their hopelessness becomes a hopefulness. This training has enabled Etafeni as an organization to help women to get to the point where they are able to earn an income, able to send their children to school, and that's the beginning of a new life for the women that come here.
In the field of primary education, a grassroots teacher training initiative, Basic Concepts, is especially inspiring.
Teachers are the most important aspect in any education system. It's, we fail to see it's not the resources, it's not the hardware that we have in schools, it's about the teacher. And we are engaged directly with how to help teachers to understand what their role is. These kids are coming from homes and an environment which are less than ideal. We were just told this morning there are gangs all around the school, and we can see that children are lacking often in what we take for granted in the early childhood development. Teachers all the time are incredibly pressurized, and I think have become demoralized really in their jobs. We give them both the content and we give them a model. So it's a structured experience. And this is often what teachers in South Africa are lacking. Teachers have been teaching for a long time, for 30 years, 40 years, would say how they've never ever seen such results or responses, reactions from their children before.
The life of the community rabbi and his family is not easy. It's very difficult to satisfy all of the people all of the time. And it's not something that's taught in yeshivot. But our rabbis are not short on rabbinic learning. What my late husband wanted to do was to provide them with what he called practical rabbinics.
Bit of a calculation. You have the Jewish people.
It's quite fascinating. When a rabbi gets smicha, he gets a certificate, just like every professional. And it's hanging on the wall in his office. So mine too has this, nice frame, laminated. Does anybody read it? Most of them, if not all, actually state that such and such a person is learned and well-versed in the Talmud and Halacha and Jewish law, etc., and is worthy to be a rabbi of a community after the necessary training. And that training often never happens.
With this in mind, the Foundation has facilitated stimulating group seminars and workshops in practical rabbinics.
Expectations of rabbis are, I think, higher than they've ever been, with new roles that rabbis are expected to embrace. It involves constant development of new skills to really maximize these new opportunities.
The main thing that came to me from these courses was professionalism. The late Chief Rabbi was a consummate professional, and he wanted all rabbis to make sure that they serve their community in the best possible way. We all have our difficulties, we all have our challenges, and to go to the training and to see how an experienced rabbi deals with those challenges was something that was quite incredible for me and had an enormous benefit for my rabbinate.
In one of the courses, we had a workshop about how to build good working relationships with lay leaders in the community. And by coming together and having these discussions with real tools and guidance and experience taking us through, we can actually come to real partnership in building communities.
What most impressed me about the conference, about the training, was the particular rabbi's approach to giving a drasha, to relating to his audience, to his congregants, not congregation, but to his congregants, his individuals, and that we can be open, we can be vulnerable, we can be human, and we can be even poetic, very much like the late Chief Rabbi himself.
As rabbis, we have to inspire the community. We have to motivate them. We have to enhance their learning. But we also need to be inspired. We also have to grow. And the courses provided that type of growth and inspiration that we needed to refuel our tanks and to give back to the community.
And so, with dedication and drive, the task of the Rabbi Harris Foundation continues.
His message to all of us, by example of what he did and how he lived, is that we should also dedicate our lives to making the world into a better place. And we are all here to support that incredible and inspiring legacy.